he's stiff and he's not very athletic. And I'm like, I watched him. I got the numbers right in front of me against Ohio State, Bama, Oregon, and Miami. He was highly efficient, 9 TDs, 1 pick, and moved very well in the Miami game. I think he's great. But I'm not rigid. I'm going to listen to criticisms. I just don't buy any of them so far until today. This one feels legitimate. There's an NFL analyst who calls something pressure to sack rate. And how many negative plays do you have? How long do you hold the ball? And if you look at last year in the NFL, who had a really bad or really high pressure to sack rate, it was Geno Smith, J.J. McCarthy, and Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Okay. And he has Mendoza's pressure to sack rate the same as Justin Fields. And what have we said about Justin Fields? He doesn't see the field very well, holds the ball too long. Now, Justin Fields is hyper athletic, and he still has negative plays. So I look at Caleb Williams, his first year, hit all sorts of sacks and negative plays. Why would that be? Because his coach stunk. So I don't worry about Fernando Mendoza. I worry about the Raiders as his parent in this league. Bad O-line. Even if Clint Kubiak's a good coach, he'll be probably the 4th best coach in his division. Ownership is impulsive and ridiculously impatient. I don't have a Mendoza issue. I have a Mendoza to the Raiders issue. And you just have to remember how this works. Joe Burrow's unbelievable. He may be the best 3rd and 4th down quarterback we've had in a decade. He can't make the playoffs because of the parent. The kid is limited. You've all seen this before when you were a kid growing up and you had a buddy and you just knew his parents were a mess. The kid ends up being a mess. No matter how hopeful and optimistic you are about a kid, the parents control a lot, 0 to 21. Bad habits are formed from parents. Kids watch. So as good as the quarterback is, Trevor Lawrence, until he gets Liam Cohen. You're like, yeah, I was a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. I don't like him anymore. Then he gets Liam Cohen. I'm like, I love this guy. Okay. So who picks you matters a lot. I think it's an interesting red flag. You know, look at a lot of the quarterbacks that succeeded. Dak Prescott. You say, well, I mean, the Cowboys don't win Super Bowls. Before he got there, Jason Garrett, Tony Romo were making the playoffs.
Okay. I am so excited to talk about this with Lost Raiders F, with Lost Raiders fans right now, because Colin's starting to bring out pressure to sack. First off, if it's pressure to sack percentage, a stat that I am extremely familiar with and that I talk about so much because it's actually one of my favorite stats, and I'm really unsure what Colin is talking about right now. Okay, first off, I also take issue with having him knocking the Raiders right now and being like, I got a problem with the Raiders and this and that. Yes, a few years ago, yes, this is a new change, this is a new regime, this is a new era, they're doing the right things, they're doing the right things. Listen, even the Chip Kelly and the Pete Carroll hire, I know it didn't work out, and bringing in Geno Smith. I know it didn't work out, but it actually really wasn't a bad decision and a bad move. It really wasn't. And it clearly didn't work. And they moved on immediately. They didn't say, no, this is the path we're going, blah, blah, blah. No, they're making concrete decisions and swings. And I think they're going about it the right way and building the right team. And I think Clint Kubiak and Mendoza can have a ton of success. And the pressure to sack percentage, by the way, has very little to do with the offensive line. Essentially nothing. Because it's when the pressure gets to you now. So essentially when the defense is past the O-line and the O-line can't really do much to protect you, are you taking a sack? That's what it is. It doesn't even really have much to do with even holding onto the ball for too long. Because if you're holding onto the ball, if your O-line is able to, if your O-line eventually breaks down now, right? Because they can only hold on for so long. And now the defense, gets to you, the pressure gets to you, that's when the pressure to sack percentage clicks in. But if you're getting rid of the ball really fast, let's say you get rid of the ball in 0.5 seconds, if there's no pressure getting to you, well then there's no way for the pressure to sack percentage to be calculated. It's just based off on the number of sacks you take per pressure you're receiving. And so the pressure to sack percentage is a big quarterback stat as well as coaching stat. Is your coordinator, your offensive coordinator, or your offensive head coach giving you solutions to the problem? That's what I always talk about. Are they giving you when the pressure is getting to you, does your Does your coaching staff have the solutions embedded it for you? Do you know where to go with the ball? Once a quarterback can establish that he's not so sped up and so, hype, when the pressure gets to him that he just panics and he makes a bad throw or where now he's holding on to the ball in the sense of like, now this is when holding on to the ball for two. Long does affect your pressure to sack percentage. You're unwilling to get rid of it. You're unwilling to throw it away, or you're trying to scramble and do too much, right? The pressure's coming to you and you're like, oh, I'm going to try to run backwards now, right? Like that's when holding onto the ball too long gets in your way. That's when we say holding onto the ball too long and stuff like that. I think there's kind of a separate sense of when we talk about it. Lamar Jackson holds on snorts to the ball too long. But like that's not really what we mean when we say holding onto the ball too long. So I want to draw that line. And now randomly bringing up Justin Fields again, this is I don't even know where this is really coming from. And so this is great. I'm excited for this because let me show you right now. Fernando Mendoza, his pressure to sack percentage is 15.8, which is great. It's fantastic. Absolutely positively fantastic. No question about it. Let's compare that to the NFL. Geno Smith was exceptionally high, 25.9%. Tyler Shuck, 25%. All the young quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart. Now, Lamar Jackson was high this season. Normally, it's a lot lower. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I actually just went through all this recently. A lot of times, especially Josh Shan and Lamar, they have, and Mahomes, to a degree, they have very low pressure to sack percentage. Yeah, they get their hand caught in the cookie jar sometimes because they're so athletic and so fast and so strong that sometimes they try to do too much. So they take a bad sack, but for the most part, that's not their constant. But if you look at it typically, I don't want to say the average quarterback, but what's a real, because I don't think everyone's going to be able to have the ability to escape pressure like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen. So typically you're looking anywhere between 14 to like 18-ish or so. Seems like a realistic, high quality, solid pressure to sack percentage. You're definitely going to have some of these quarterbacks who go down below that to like 10%. I think Lamar Jackson out last year were like 8 or 9% last year in terms of 2024 now. So it can fluctuate a little bit. But like that's generally kind of the range. Again, Matthew Stafford was 11.4% this past season. Dak was 13.3%. Jared Goff, 17%. Josh Allen, 19%. Justin Herbert, 20.5%. And again, if we go down to 2024 again, you'll see some fluctuations, but you'll see Caleb Williams up there exactly, 28.2%. Baker, 25.2%. Geno Smith was already on the higher end, 19.9%. Matthew Stafford, 16.4%, 4%. So he's had a 5% decrease from 2024 to 2025. And it's not one of those stats that it's like, oh, it's ticking down or it's ticking up. Like, to be clear, also, the lower percentage, the better. Josh Allen, Josh, do it this way, was 8%, right? Lamar Jackson, 11.3%. A lot of times your pressure to sack percentage can also be, what does your team need from you? Do you need to kind of hold onto the ball and make a play? Can you just scramble and pick up a few yards, or do you need to kind of scramble to really look for a throw? What's kind of happening here? Is your O-line bad where now you are constantly being under duress, and it's not so much that that this is an embedded O-line stat, but are you being pressured relentlessly where it's just becomes very hard to do your job, right? And so like, yeah, you just can't escape the pressure. If you're being pressured 100 times a game, no matter how great you are, it's just going to get to you. Most likely it's just going to start to tick up, right? Like it's just the way it's going to be. So his pressure to sack percentage is completely within range. And I expect it to be poor as a rookie because it's like that for every young quarterback. It's like that for every single young quarterback. Jaden Daniels, who had an awesome season, one of you had the best rookie season in the NFL, in NFL history, really. 22.2%, right? Like, so that's just something to be on the lookout. People praised Baker Mayfield last year. 41 touchdowns. 16 interceptions, 4,500 yards, 71.4% completion percentage. Liam Cohen, awesome coach. 106.88 passer rating. Had a pressure to sack percentage of 25.2%. So this is the problem, people, and I don't know who Colin's referring to. He didn't really, maybe he said it, but I didn't hear the name. This is where people just start saying stats, and I don't think they actually understand what they're talking. I just had this whole conversation with my close friend yesterday, and I was talking about how, like, you know, it's actually pretty cool that, like, being able to look over a lot of this data and use a lot of my experience, like working with numbers, working with stats, working in like research labs and whatnot, and like actually learning how to look at data, what matters and whatnot. And obviously it's a different type of data because I didn't go to school for the NFL. I mean, that would be cool. And I was just talking to him like, you know, it's just really interesting. And I said, what's cool is that like I get to now look at the data and explain it to people who don't have that experience, which is totally fair. Not everyone is going to have that. And I said, what's really interesting is you definitely have really smart people who can know numbers way better than me and statistics better than me, but like they don't also have a sports background, and I don't know they're as good at interpreting things. And when you look at actual research where you're collecting data and whatnot, you have the statisticians, the people who know the numbers, and then you have the people that know now how to actually interpret it, how to be like, okay. And I was actually just listening to another podcast clip where this big researcher was kind of just talking about like, you know, we like why, you know, science changes, and, you know, we believed certain things in the past that we no longer believe in now. And a lot of that is because the way how we analyze data now has changed. There's different statistical models and whatnot, and so now how we interpret these things changes. So a lot of it is interpretation, and it's like, you know, it's you can't just pluck a singular number. There's always context. There's always things that need to be added. So when you just throw out like a Justin Fields, like where is this 2025? Yeah, where is Justin Fields in this? I might have removed Justin Fields because I did 50% of the snaps. I think I have to go lower. Yeah, Justin Fields is 23.3%. So even that now I'm kind of confused because the pressure sack percentage is 15 for Mendoza, and Justin Fields this past year was 203. Was he talking about did he play in 20? He only played like a half a season in 24. So, and I don't know why he would compare to 24 numbers. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Where is Justin Fields? Yeah, I don't even know at this point. Oh, there's Justin Fields, 20.5%. Was he talking about Justin Fields in college then? Maybe he was talking about him in college, I guess, then. And I'm not going back to college back. I don't even remember. When did Justin Fields play? What was that, 2020? I don't even remember anymore at this point. And it doesn't matter. Like, that's the thing. It really does not matter, honestly. This is going to be so great. I'm so pumped for this season and really for these next 2 years with the Las Vegas Raiders, because you can tell, man, people want Mendoza to fail. People want the Raiders to fail. Oh gosh, I'm telling you, it makes it snorts so much more fun when they succeed. When they succeed, I am absolutely going all in on Mendoza and the Raiders, baby. I absolutely, positively am. I am so excited for all of this. Believe that. Believe that. I'm already loving the conversations and the doubt around this organization, the choices that they're making, and I guess the doubt around Mendoza. Man, I thought he was going to be universally loved and praised going into the NFL, and I am so happy he's not. I am so happy he's not, because it makes it so much better. It makes it so much better. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Fernando Mendoza and Las Vegas Raiders, who I guess are in the position to fail Mendoza, according to Colin, that he has a Raider problem? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.